Hey, everybody, welcome to a very special town hall. We're going to let everybody trickle on into the room, but I see a lot of your amazing faces. Hey, Faye, how you doing?
I'm good, Michael. How are you?
You know our host for today?
I have met our host. Thank you, Chris, for being here. We're excited to have you.
So happy to be here, Faye.
Amazing. Thank you.
Awesome. Who else do I see here? Oh man. Hey, Brenda. No snow in North Carolina. We were lamenting on who's got snow, who doesn't. You're on mute, but I think you're saying no snow.
Yeah. And my husband saw you on TV today, and apparently it was something that was just recorded yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're looking forward to seeing the whole thing.
Oh, cool. Oh,
Mm.
we're in a couple hours we'll be on PBS and CNN.
Okay. It was on CNBC World, and he
Oh,
just happened on it. It was totally a fluke, but
oh, great.
okay. But
That's
you'll be on
exciting.
PBS tonight.
PBS 11 Eastern and then globally on CNN. And the real thing is that's great he saw me, but my job was just promoter hype man for Dr. Gene Tang.
Well, he saw Gene too. He listened. He said he listened to about 11 or 12 minutes of it, but he said obviously that wasn't the whole thing. So we're looking forward to seeing the whole thing.
That's great. Yeah, when you
Yeah,
need your water or bathroom break, go when I'm on and then make sure you don't miss any of Dr. Gene Tang.
will do.
Awesome. Tracy Hisler, how's it going?
Hey, how are you?
You guys digging out? Or are you doing okay? I don't
Um,
I don't know if you get more or less snow
we
being
actually got more, and I've never seen such a apocalyptic scene as like all the trees that came down on our that nearly missed our house.
no kidding. But no,
Yeah,
no
That's
hit
crazy.
we got 30 inches of snow.
inches. Holy smokes.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. You
Terry,
guys, yeah, it was good
oh,
to see everybody.
good to see you,
Mm.
Tracy. Terry Stevens is in from Australia, so snow, Terry, is cold, it's cold stuff that comes in out of the sky. It can sit on the ground and kind of pile up a little bit. I just wanted to explain that.
I'm a little bit late this morning onto the call. It's only I don't know what is it, 8:30 here, but I'm about to go across the road soon and go for a swim in the ocean. So it's a little bit different to snow.
Terry, film it, man, and you'll do the first plunge. You do the first polar plunge of the season. We can pretend like it's cold. Just shiver a little bit when you get out of the water.
I have had so much trouble trying to find ice baths for a plunge in April. So that's what we need to do for a plunge here is find an ice bath. There's no snow, no ice, nothing like that.
I know an ice guy. I know an ice guy, Terry, in Adelaide. I think we can make it happen.
Well, you did one a couple of years ago with a guy here, but I've been speaking to Dale and we haven't had much luck. So, but we'll get something up and running.
Believe it or not, folks, for those that haven't been to Australia, don't worry, we'll figure it out. There's ice there. We'll get this problem sorted. We'll fix it.
Yeah, the only ice you get here is in your cocktails.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And that seems to be never ending, Terry. So we just got to transfer some of that, into the ice bath.
And always important.
Jennifer, I see you. So happy that you can join us. Was just talking to Hodges about your family all coming together, which was so beautiful to see. So just thank you, Jennifer. Every time your presence,
Really was real thoroughly. It was phenomenal.
nice. Oh, sorry. We missed
Yeah.
you for a second, Jennifer. What was that?
No, I said it was phenomenal, and thank you and the veterans. I mean, it's just so exciting.
Awesome.
Hey, Mom.
Well, we got all kinds of folks coming in. I can see some of you. Jenny Gallagher, shout out. Steven. Wow, Jeff, all kinds of folks here. Nisha. Well, look, we're gonna have people continue to roll in, but I'm gonna get to it because we have an unbelievably special edition town hall for February, which is so timely for lots of reasons. Number one, as many of you know, Saturday is Global Rare Disease Day, so we thought we wanted to bring a big. Nick, you had a question. Is that on accident or on purpose?
That's me hitting the wrong button on Zoom. Sorry.
Nice. Good to see you, Nick. I'm happy you raised your hand, man, because we could give you a shout out. Great to see you. And actually, what Nick was doing, everybody, was just demonstrating the hand raise feature when we come to the question section. He's showing you all exactly how to do it. So A plus, Nick. Thank you so much for demonstrating to the class. We greatly appreciate that. But special edition town hall, rare disease. Global Rare Disease Day is this Saturday, February 28th. For those that don't know, it's always on February 28th because sometimes there's a February 29th, and that is the rarest day of the year. So that's why we celebrate the rare disease community on Rare Disease Day, February 28th. It's also special because, as many of you know by now, Matter of Time has been out in the wild, so to speak, out into the world on Netflix for just about 2.5 weeks. So we thought this would be just a great time to get you all together, to hear from you, to answer your questions, to hear your feedback on what is a very big moment for the community, but also, most importantly, hear from the folks involved, whether it's Matt and Karen who are involved in making the film, whether it's the brave and courageous families that are highlighted in the film, the doctors and researchers that are in the film. We want you to all be able to hear directly from them. So that's where this will be focused today. Before we jump in, because we have a very, very special host that probably most of you know, but before we jump into that, as we always do on our town halls, I just wanted to give you some updates from the front lines on what's going on at EBRP. So I'm looking around at all these names and faces. I think I know most of you, but if I don't, just an update on the progress that we're making. So, since the organization started just about a decade ago, we are very proud and very honored that we funded 189 projects, raised now more than $80 million. We've seen clinical trials go from 2 to more than 50, which is a 25 times increase on the amount of clinical trials, half of which have been directly funded by all of you, by supporting this organization and supporting our work. And most significantly, we've seen not one, not two, but 3 FDA approvals in the last 2 years. And as a reminder, these are treatments and they are helpful, but ultimately want a cure. So we consider these milestones, but very far from the ultimate goal, which is cures and curative and definitive therapies. So, as far as, what did 2025 hold for the organization, we're very proud to report that it was a really banner year, in many ways, thanks to this film. I think many of you know, but the film is now on Netflix. But before it got to Netflix, we did 45 cities across the planet where we shared the film with communities. And it was so unbelievably powerful, not just to be able to show the film across the country and even across the world, but every stop along the way, which almost everybody on this call was part of, it was a gathering of the community. So families coming together, the EB community coming together, doctors, researchers, philanthropists, and supporters all being in a space. And for us, it really showed us the importance of a film, of how it can really bring a community together to have really important conversations and connect with one another. So, really, we've never had a medium like that of a film talking about the EB community out in the world in that way. So it drove a lot of new support. So the organization grew fundraising by more than 65% from 2024 into 2025. So it was a record-breaking year in every sense of the word. But if you kind of compare that against industry Stanford, most nonprofits will grow 5 to 6% a year, so that's about 10x normal growth that you would see in nonprofit, and even 10 times the amount of growth when you look at Fortune 50 companies as an example. So, where are we in progress and timelines? You can see the growth over the years, really going to a handful of clinical trials to now that more than 50 number. We've seen the 3 FDA approvals. And I think one of the things that we're incredibly proud of, if you look at the research funding over time, if you don't mind going to the next slide, Allison, we for the first time ever, of the research projects that we funded, which was just about $5 million, the most amount of projects we've ever funded, 29 projects, 7 different countries, just in 2025 alone. Again, thanks to everybody on this call. For the first time ever, we asked that the MDs and PhDs that submit those proposals, of course, this is for EB today, but does this science have the ability to impact additional rare diseases, which is very fitting as we think about Rare Disease Day just 2 days away. And for the first time ever, that answer was 100%, that every piece of science that we funded has the applicability to have impact beyond just EB, of course, first focused on EB. And also, for the first time ever, half of the projects that we funded were by definition either definitive or curative and hold the hope and potential to be for EB. And, we asked the MDs and PhDs directly that question, does this hold the potential to be definitive and curative? And for the first time, half of those projects answered yes. Another thing that I think is really important to report is the differentiated approach of the research funding. So if you look at that sort of chart on the right, the balance across all subtypes of EB, and I'm looking around at the faces and folks on this call, and everybody in the community is represented. And so that's important for us that we're funding research that represents you. So you see about a quarter and a quarter and a quarter balance across the 4 different subtypes of EB, from dystrophic to simplex to junctional and even Kindler. Now, some of those projects support all subtypes, but that is new for us, that sort of portfolio balance that we're investing in science across all 4 EB subtypes. So absolutely something we wanted to report to the community and make sure you're all aware. And the other thing that really makes our community unique is the diversified approach in the scientific projects themselves. So we want to accelerate more treatments. We ultimately one day want to cure. And part of the strategy in doing that is to invest across scientific applications. So if you look at the type of research that we funded in 2025, which is all publicly available on our website, and we share, you can look at those individual projects, and we even have a tracker where you can learn more about every single penny that we put out the door. But you look at that diversification from gene therapy to stem cell therapies to cancer research to drug repurposing to data projects to even immune therapy for one of the first times in EB to protein replacement, that really wide array of an arsenal of different therapeutic types to combat EB. We talked about this a little bit, but it's always kind of helpful to see it on a map. Those 29 projects spread across 7 different countries, and I just see you on my screen right now, Terry. So that does include Australia. So hopefully some pride in that fact. Obviously, a lot in North America, Europe, Australia, but 7 different countries across the planet. And before we jump in to our, I'll say, legendary panel, what does the year ahead hold? So right now we are right in the midst of our first research cycle of the year. So for any researchers, investigators, clinicians, biotech companies on the call that aren't yet aware, the grant cycle is open. We've got a deadline of March 13th, Allison.
Sorry, I was giving a thumbs up, but yes, that's right, March 13th.
Now you're on my screen. March 13th deadline. And as a reminder, that's open to any scientist, researcher, biotech company on planet Earth that is focused on impactful treatments for EB. So that is open right now with the deadline of March 13th. We continue to intake proposals and hope to make decisions in June on the research projects that we fund. Many of you are aware, but in a couple of days we start plunge season. Terry's doing one this morning, but this is more than 22 sites across the world to take the plunge for EB. And this started with the Cubic family and Elodie and her parents and grandparents who are on the call in their community in Wellesley, Massachusetts. And now this has spread like a wildfire for 22 different sites across the world. So join a plunge. Odds are there might be one in your area. If there's not one in your area, I'm looking at Brenda. We've got one in North Carolina that her and her family have run. If there's not one in your area, start your own. It's the easiest type of event to start. You just need an ice bucket, an ice bath, a cold body of water. We'll give some of you Chris in Florida, Terry in Australia, will give you guys a pass. It doesn't have to be freezing cold. Water is the important thing. So we encourage you to take part and either join a plunge or start one on your own. I'm looking at Matt Finlin and the Molinaro family and Karen. They're jumping in a frozen body of water. I don't even know if there's water in there, Matt, but the Canadians are involved. They're jumping in the ice, I'll say, Matt, maybe not water.
It's cold. Yeah.
It is confirmed cold. Right after and kind of in the midst of the plunges, we're back for the second year of the Vetter Cup. Shout out to the Meyer family, Eli and Lily, and shout out to the McKenzie family in Seattle and all those families that attend. But in May, we'll have a game in San Diego for anybody that's in the area or wants to travel to beautiful San Diego to attend a Major League Baseball game for EB. And then actually in April, we are in, April we're in San Diego. May we are in Seattle. So you've got two options to attend a Major League Baseball game for EB. And sort of the big news, we don't have a date yet, but stay close and stay tuned. But we will be bringing back a Venture into Cure Summit, most likely in New York in the fall. So that will be very similar to those that were in Seattle, an all-day summit with patient ambassadors, leading researchers, leading clinicians, folks in the biotech space, regulatory space, to collaborate and work together, and we'll mix it with a little fun with some music and a big event. So stay tuned for that. We're thinking October, November, so we got a little bit of time, but we know you all have busy calendars, so we'll make sure to get that information to you as soon as possible. But plan on getting together in the fall. We look forward to seeing each of you. So with that, we got the heavyweights involved today. We call this a special edition because we've never had a town hall like this. These are some of the most inspiring human beings on the planet. Just trying to get their schedules aligned to get them on one town hall was a Herculean feat. So thank you all for joining us. We're so excited to hear from this group and hear from each of them. But before we do, to add into the heavyweight mix, we have brought on a very, very special moderator, our friend, and just absolute champion, not just for EB, not just for the rare disease community, but for young people across the planet that may battle any type of condition or challenge or struggle in their life. I cannot think of a bigger voice for this community. I can't think of anybody that does their work and their message with more compassion and more heart, and more trust, and just belief and inspiration of the folks that he works with. So, Chris, it is an absolute honor to have you here, sir. It's my pleasure to introduce Chris Ulmer. He is the creator and host of Special Books by Special Kids, which is a 501c3 nonprofit, and Viral, which is an understatement, viral interview series intended to create a more inclusive world. SBSK started when Chris was a teacher for students with disabilities. Originally intended to be a book written by his students, SBSK rapidly grew to become video interviews of disabled people and individuals of all ages and diagnoses. Since 2015, Chris has interviewed hundreds of people from across the world, including a years-long interview series with the man, the legend, Mr. John Hudson Dilgen, and Faye, also a legend who's on the call with us today, while providing over $2 million to those featured on the Special Books, Special Kids channel through a combination of grants and fundraising, and honestly, just the volume of awareness that you're able to create, Chris. His videos have a total of over 2 billion, that's with a B, 2 billion views, making a profound impact on his mission to normalize the diversity of the human condition under the pillars of honesty, respect, mindfulness, positivity, and collaboration. So if you can all join me in giving a very warm welcome to a heroic individual in our friend, Mr. Chris Ulmer. So thank you so much for joining us, Chris.
Michael, thank you so much for having me. The EB Research Partnership is a cause that is just so close to my heart, and I'm honored to be here today. And we have a magnificent conversation planned for you today, a panel full of people who were involved in the film Matter of Time. And before we start that conversation, I'm going to introduce you to each person. First, we have Hodges Caldwell Jr., an individual living with junctional EB. I love seeing all the clapping for Hodges right there on the side. Keep it coming. We love Hodges. Hodges is the founder and CEO of the 501c3 nonprofit EB Lifestyle Incorporated. Their mission is to donate lightweight portability mobility aids to the EB community to help them regain their mobility and independence. Hodges lives with the junctional subtype of EB and understands the struggle of mobility firsthand. Hodges has been involved in numerous clinical trials and research programs since the age of 4, including at Miami University and Stanford University under Dr. Tang. Hodges, I'm so happy you're here, and thank you for all your advocacy over the years. Up next, we have Dave and Fran Molinaro. They're parents to Deanna, who passed away in 2023 after battling recessive dystrophic EB. Dave is also the chairman of Deborah Canada. Dave and Fran are proud parents of two who live in Stony Creek, Ontario. Their devotion to EB began when their first daughter, Deanna, was diagnosed with recessive dystrophic EB. When she was born, it took 4 hospitals in both Canada and the US to give them advice and a proper diagnosis. Fran and Dave couldn't believe how difficult it was to gather information and support, let alone connect to other families coping with EB life. They decided to take a stand to educate themselves and bring awareness to EB. With the help from those at Toronto Hospital for Sick Kids, Deborah of America, and other families nearby and across the country, they founded Deborah Canada, a nonprofit charitable organization that provides awareness and support to families learning to cope with EB. Dave and Fran, I'm so thankful you can be here today. And also thanks for all your work in the EB community. We all truly appreciate it. Next, we have Tricia Knuth, mom to Miley, who lives with RDEB, and mom to Charlie, who passed away in 2023 with RDEB. Tricia is a devoted mother and tireless advocate for the EB community. After adopting 2 children, Charlie and Miley, who were both born with EB, Tricia has dedicated her life to raising awareness and hope for families affected by these rare diseases. Featured in Matter of Time, her family's story of love, loss, and resilience continues to inspire others. Tricia honors Charlie's memory and Miley's strength by advocating for awareness, compassion, and a future without EB. Tricia, thank you for being here, and thank you for all you do. Up next, we have the legendary Dr. Jean Tang, an EB researcher and clinician. Dr. Jean Tang is a professor of dermatology at Stanford. She is also the director of the Clinical Scholars Track in the Dermatology Department and co-director of the AACR Molecular Biology and Clinical Oncology Workshop. In addition to caring for patients in the clinic, Dr. Tang is also a dedicated researcher with more than 12 years of clinical translational experience in rare genetic diseases in dermatology. She was the principal investigator of the investigator-initiated phase 1/2A clinical trial for autologous gene therapy skin grafts for RDEB, which was approved by the FDA last year as the 3rd ever treatment for EB. I get so excited when I see these FDA-approved treatments, and I know Dr. Jean Tang, you're a big part of it. Thank you so much for all your hard work, and I'm looking forward to talking with you in just a little bit. Up next, we have Dr. Jamie Feinstein, an EB clinician. Dr. Jamie Feinstein is a professor of pediatrics at the University of Colorado and the pediatric director of EB multidisciplinary program at Colorado Children's. Jamie is also the medical director at the Colorado Child Health Research Institute and director of the Clinical Faculty Scholars Program, where he trains the next generation of clinical researchers. Doctor, thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule to be here today. And up next, we have the man of the hour, Mr. Matt Finlin, the director of Matter of Time, which I've seen recently, and I cannot tell you how happy it made me to click on the Netflix and see a documentary about EB up there on my TV front and center. It made me tear up. Matt is a natural-born storyteller. He builds stories with an ideal mix of passion and innovation. His lively eye and thoughtful sense of narrative have led to award-winning documentaries, music videos, and commercials. With an extensive digital background, Matt understands the ever-evolving landscape of media. He is drawn to directing pieces that will make audiences laugh, cry, and take action. And Matt, you did that perfectly with Matter of Time. And I'm very, very eager to have a discussion with you about that movie in just a few minutes. Up next, we have Karen Barzilay, a producer of Matter of Time. Karen spent much of her career producing highly rated and award-winning television with CTV and Bell Media in Canada. With extensive experience in broadcast news, award shows, variety programming, and live events, she has worked with some of the most talented personalities in the world. Her passion for high-quality programming has helped Door Knocker Media become an industry leader and develop into the development and production of both traditional and digital content. Karen, I'm so appreciative for all your hard work on Matter of Time and very happy that you could be here with us today. And lastly, we have someone that you might be familiar with, Mr. Michael Hund, the CEO of EB Research Partnership. Michael Hund is an award-winning CEO with more than 20 years. I love seeing those clapping for Michael. He has more than 20 years of experience in the innovative business models of venture philanthropy, impact investing, and medtech entrepreneurship. He is the CEO of EB Research Partnership, a game-changing medical research organization dedicated to curing EB and scaling their model to rare disease. Under his leadership, EBRP has raised more than $80 million to transform the landscape from 2 to over 50 clinical trials and accelerated 3 FDA-approved treatments. He is also an executive producer of the award-winning documentary Matter of Time, an executive producer of Venture into Cures, combining stories of the patient and medical communities with musicians and actors to raise more than $12 million. Michael, I think I speak for all of us when I say thank you so much for everything you do for the EB community. We can't put it into words. We appreciate it so much. Now we're going to start the discussion, and I thought I would start with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Hodges. Hodges, you're a leader in the community and such a bold voice for those living with EB. What does it mean for the EB community to have this film out there in the world?
Thank you, everyone. I gave this question a lot of thought this week, and so I always want to be at my ripe old age of 46. I always want to be um a historian of where we were, where we are, and where we're going. So, I always want to just give shout outs to the ones that came before us. So, first I just wanted to give a shout out to Jonathan Kennedy. Shout out to our EB community in the UK because they were able, he came out with a documentary called The Boy Whose Skin Fell Off. And that really got what we would call now that viral or really global recognition. And so now we have Matter of Time. So that's the movie for this generation. And I really feel like the the storytelling of it with Matt and Karen and the whole Door Knocker Media team and the legendary, of course, Eddie Vedder, it was really able to compound the lives and stories of several individuals with EB. And so what happened was for the first time ever, whether as a whole, the EB community agree with the message or not is irrelevant. What is relevant is that for the first time ever on a global scale, we were actually represented and heard because everybody knew these people in these movies. Everyone knew Deanna, whether directly or indirectly. Everyone knows Eli from his come and say hi campaign that he did. And, Rowan and Charlie and even myself. So it was a well-rounded group that represented everybody. And so for the first time, it really gave us like, oh my, we're seen on that global level. And simultaneously, it also gave us hope because hope is what keeps us moving and what keeps us driving on those days that we don't want to do our wound care, or we got to go to the hospitals to get our infusions or whatever's going on. It gave us hope that it's, that it will, these treatments that are coming out, there's going to be a long-standing treatment that is going to lead to a cure. And that is what I really think resonated with the EB community, that we were seen and it gave hope for the future.
Thank you, Hodges. And you did such a fantastic job in the film, and I really enjoyed your parts in it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next, I have a question for Tricia. Did the film capture something about your family that you feel people often miss or misunderstand?
Yeah, I do. I think it captured how much adoptive children are loved by their adoptive parents. It captured how hard we work to try to balance medical care and also life experiences for our whole family. Having fun, was included, just goofing around. But for me, it captured the grief of losing Charlie. And, because he was such a intense, he was part of me. It was such an unbelievable bond. And to lose him was, like losing part of me. It also felt, I'm very alone in our grief. And even though Charlie suffered at the end so much, it never was ever a relief to lose Charlie. And I really, really appreciate being able to tell the world my story. Yeah.
Trish, thank you so much for being part of the film, for being here today, and for your vulnerability. It really paints the picture of the impact that EB can have on people. And I think that's so important for people to know. And it's going to be part of the narrative that drives us towards a cure. So just thank you so much for your vulnerability. I appreciate it. And I know so many people here do today. I can see all the little clapping emojis, and that's all for you. Thank you. Next, I have a question for Dr. Jean Tang. Dr. Tang, can you talk about the scientific progress that has been made since Matter of Time was filmed and what you're most excited about?
I'm so excited about our research. With the help of the EBRP grant money, we were able to get some data to submit to a much larger grant from the government. It's called an ARPA-H grant for $30 million. We find out end of March if we get it or not. And with all the publicity of Matter of Time and other things, believe me, we're sending it to the scientific, federal group to say, please, please, But what's amazing is, because of the film and all of the community's hard work, they know what EB is, right? And seeing this film just really demonstrates the personal stories, the joys and the sadness. And thank you to Matt and Karen and the community for telling this story in such a humanistic and powerful way that we as scientists can never, never, convey to the world. And I wish, every rare disease had this kind of power and momentum. So in terms of answering your question, the science, the base editing, the gene editing, research is speeding up. We've got gene editing projects for dystrophic EB, for junctional EB. I'm seeing new drug companies interested in EB. So the science is really, really advancing even under this challenging administration. So I'm so excited and I'm so grateful.
Well, that's wonderful news. And I have to tell you, Dr. Tang, that often when I'm interviewing a child with a rare diagnosis and the family shares some of their struggles, I leave the house thinking to myself, I hope there's somebody smarter than me out there who's working on a cure or something to help these families. And you are one of those people. So I'm so appreciative that you're out there working hard for the EB community. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. And that leads me to my next question for Dr. Feinstein. In the film, we see the deep and personal connection you built with Rowan and her family. How was your relationship evolved beyond the traditional doctor-patient dynamic? And what was it like for you to see that relationship portrayed on screen?
Thank you so much for that question. I think the word that immediately comes to my mind is family. And I think that Matt and Karen captured that so beautifully on the screen. With something as intense as EB, my team and families, we have to talk about a lot of big things right away. And we get to know families really deeply, very quickly. And this really naturally gives way to us being big parts of each other's lives, often for many years. And Hodges, I'm 46 with you. It's been decades now for me, for some of my patients that I've known. I met Rowan's mom, Kate, over the phone when Rowan was a baby, and they were still living in Texas and just starting to learn about EB. And now, 10 years later, they live here in Colorado, and I still get to see Rowan grow up into this smart, funny person who's doing big things in this world that you all know and saw on screen. She's incredible. And I love celebrating the things that happen in her life. Right now, I'm actually very curious. She's at a ski camp up in the Rockies and learning how to ski and snowmobile. So I want to hear all about this experience as soon as she gets back. And then the last thing I'll say is I've got lyrics back here of teach your children well. And that makes me think of her parents, Kate and Jason, who really have developed such powerful voices as advocates for children with special healthcare needs and kind of this larger community. And to be trusted by their family, to be part of their family, it's a two-way street. I'm their EB doctor, but I think that they have shaped my own life probably just as much, if not more, and I'm forever thankful to have them in my life.
Oh, that is such a heartwarming answer. It's so lovely to see a doctor who cares so much about his patients. And I often feel the same way about many of the people I meet. Like John Hudson, I feel like I'm the goofy uncle who comes to town once or twice a year and gets to see him and have a great time with him. So I understand what you're saying, and it's a great feeling to be a part of so many families. Thank you for all your hard work. Up
Thank you.
next, I have a question for Matt Finlin, the director of Matter of Time. Matt, can you talk to us about the inspiration behind the film and the message you hope audiences walk away with?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I think the inspiration, obviously, behind the film was, a lot of everyone on this call. As storytellers, it's just such a gift to be able to be part of something so tangible and authentic. And when Karen and I were, in 2019, we're producing this show called We Days when we met Eli, and Eli changed my life. And I'd say, back then I didn't think at that time, I would be here 6 years later, and I'm really grateful that I am. It's been the real privilege of my life, I think, to be able to know a lot of the people on this call. And, I think we all wish we didn't have to share this story at all. But I'm very grateful for all of you and that you gave yourselves to us in very delicate situations. And, past the inspiration, I just would love to say, like Tricia and, Hodges and, Dave and Fran, and, thank you for letting us into your lives. And we've all spoken about this separately, and Jean, into the lab, and it's meant a lot for us to, in the past couple of weeks since this has come out, we've been so lucky to have, the film premiere at Tribeca and, do great things. But now that it's out to the world, to hear from the community, people that live in the EB community that we never met or know of, that have sent messages to what you said, Hodges, I think is feeling seen, like that feels like success to us. And yes, it was hard. It's hard for you more than anyone else, but that the resounding sort of feedback that we've heard is that we're feeding the hope machine, which we've been using that a lot, which I think in the times of now is really important. So thank you all like very much. It's really been an honor.
I had it was such a tremendous thing to see that movie on Netflix, and the awareness you're bringing to the EB community is immeasurable. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks. Can I make just one quick shout out too? And just because I've heard this so much this week, we've been lucky to do a bunch of interviews. Um, there's a young man, Gene, when we were at Stanford, and you remember in the film, and this is a big part of this, I think, for all of you on this call who have taken part in clinical trials. John Hudson as an other amazing example is like Garrett, the young man who you see in the film, is just a shout out to him. So many people have mentioned him this week.
Yeah.
That just what a pure superhero he is for this community. So I just wanted to, people who may know Garrett on this call and his mom Lorraine, just wanted to give them a big shout out.
That was definitely a part that moved me as well, seeing his strength and the sacrifice he was making to help the next generation of people with EB. It was selfless, and I hope he knows how much he's doing for others.
Yeah.
And next, I have a question for somebody else who was involved in the making of the film, Karen. The
Hi.
film doesn't, hi, Karen. The film doesn't shy away from the pain, but it never feels hopeless. How did you strike that balance?
I think as filmmakers, we're always really acutely aware of the fact that this film, it doesn't belong to us. It belongs to the families and the patients, and so many people on this town hall. And so to hear first, I just want to say, like, to hear Hodges say, that you felt represented and seen and heard, that to us was the most important thing. And so when you're talking about pain, and hopelessness, we never wanted to sanitize the pain because the pain is real. But I think what's also real is the fact that this community doesn't define itself by suffering or by pain. And yeah, there's heartbreak, but there's also humor, which I think we saw, many times in the film. And there's determination and there's love and there's so many different emotions, and it's so multifaceted. So hope wasn't something that we just kind of added in post-production. Hope was something that was a very real reflection of what we were filming. It was already there. And our job as filmmakers was really just to honor that truth. And that full truth is incredibly hopeful and includes so much incredible resilience, which is what made all of this so special for us.
I'm really happy that you made the space for every emotion that the people who are participants were feeling. That's a very special thing you did to give them the
Yeah.
space to feel whatever they were feeling.
Yeah, and you know what, and again, just to echo what Matt said, like we just have such a deep appreciation and gratitude to everyone who was involved for yes, we provided the space, but really the space came from their trust and from them allowing us into their lives and into their world in such a beautiful way. And so we are forever grateful.
Thank you, Karen. And now I'd like to circle back to somebody who you made that space for, Hodges. Hodges, what was it like to be part of this film and of the original events that took place in 2023?
Well, none of us knew it was going to be a movie. None of us knew it was going to turn into this whole phenomenon. But really, I gotta give the credit to my dear friend and the late Deanna Monero. She's the one that really encouraged me to to come out, to get on board, because 2023, that was really my first direct interaction with EBRP. I knew of them. I was aware of their work and everything, but I never had that direct connection with them, or got to work with them directly. It was always kind of like indirectly, or through somebody. So that was my first. That was my first real introduction to the EBRP family, and my goodness, it was the amount of love and support that everyone showed, from Michael to the Vetter family, and how they just went out of their way to make me and my sister just feel welcomed, was just mind blowing and refreshing. Because sometimes you don't always get that. That big of a welcoming feeling. So To I'm old school. I took part back in 1983. I was part of the very first ever EB um EB it was called it was the EB conference back in Washington. I was only 4 years old at the time. I did my first fundraiser at 4. And so for that, and so to still be relevant and to still be able to be a part of such good organizations and to see where it's come, it was just coming full circle for me. And it was just truly an honor and a blessing. And I really have to thank Deanna for that.
And thank you, Hodges, for advocating for EB for 4 decades now. I better see a lot of those clapping emojis. That's quite the accomplishment, Hodges.
Thank you.
And next, yeah, there we go. Look at those clapping emojis. Now I have a question for Dave and Fran. What has it been like to see people who knew nothing about EB respond a matter of time and be inspired by Deanna's story and her art?
It's been truly humbling, really, because we've received some pretty incredible messages from people that are struggling with their own, whether it's mental health issues or physical issues and whatnot, and watching the film and getting inspired by everyone in the film, with their struggles and showing their vulnerability and it's been truly a little overwhelming, to be quite honest, but in a good way, because Deanna always wanted to be in front of trying to get people to learn more about EB, and it could have been anything from being at the mall and little kids would just run to her like a magnet, like it was just crazy. And parents would drag them away, right? And then she'd say, no, it's okay. If you're okay me talking to them, I'll talk to them, right? And she always had that presence about her that people would always, like, whether they were little kids or anyone, they would always try to go to her. And she always took every opportunity to educate people as much as possible on not just EB, but even accessibility issues, which she mentions in the movie a little bit. But it's been truly wonderful to see, and obviously to see her and hear her voice in the film for us is I told Matt, Matt and Karen, they've given us something that we'll have for our lifetime, and I'm sure Trish feels the same way with it helps a lot being able to help with our grieving process. It's been a couple years, but it's still it was 30 plus years of watching her grow and strive and become a young, strong advocate, and powerful young woman. So it's been really, really wonderful.
And I had such a great time meeting Deanna through the movie. You did such a wonderful job of honoring her legacy, and I appreciate you two being part of the movie with her.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I wanted to ask, I do have a second question here for you that I think I might have skipped over at first. Was that the first question that I asked you?
Yes.
My apologies. Let me go back to that other question.
Okay.
What does being part of a film like this mean to you and your family, your community, and your organization?
Yeah, thought.
Again, it's been a wonderful experience from the first Ventures into Cure that Deanna was part of, and then going to Seattle and meeting everyone face to face, and just seeing how genuine everyone was for the cause. I mean, Dr. Jean, if I could hug you right now, like, you are a rock star, no doubt. And
Thank you.
Your passion for your patients and for just doing the right thing gives us more hope every day. And I know we had a chance to chat a little bit in Seattle. We had some plans to maybe bring Dee down to see you at Stanford, but didn't happen. But she knew that she would probably not be benefiting from any of this new treatment, but at the same time, she wanted to be there to make sure people understood what it was about, and the little things in the movie that people may not realize. But when you see Michelle open her closet and it's full of dressings and bandages wall to wall in that closet, and same with watching the dressings being done on Rowan. Most people don't have a clue.
That's
That
right.
closet of dressing is worth thousands and thousands of dollars, which most people don't understand, right? So we're a little bit different north of the border with some of the healthcare, and each province is a little different, but they still struggle to try to get the proper care, and this movie helps bring that to light. And I think that's a fantastic thing, because now it'll help these people, these kids suffering with EB, get proper coverage that they're supposed to get.
It certainly will. Thank you, Dave and Fran.
You're welcome.
Now I have a question for Tricia. For so long, EB has been largely invisible to the broader world. What does it mean to have your reality seen at a larger scale?
I think it's important because I'm excited about that people around the world will be able to see this. And that includes medical students, researchers, doctors, scientists. And I feel like collaboration will happen much, much faster now. That a spark will be lit under people, and they'll be excited to learn more and change it from just being in the laboratory, and it can get to the clinics much faster. That's my hope.
Thank you. Now I have a question for Dr. Jean Tang. The film highlights both the urgency and complexity of developing treatments. What gives you hope that we're closer than ever to a cure?
Well, I think, it's good to draw a line and to aim for a goal. And we have treatments, but clearly the day-to-day lives of our patients and our families are still very hard. And so I think with gene editing, I think with more research, we understand the disease more. The patients have come out. We understand the genetics. So I think all the building blocks are there. If there's any disease that's going to see a cure soon, EB is right in the front. I wanted to follow up with what the Molinaros and Tricia said. It is really true. One of the most beautiful things for me, I remember watching in Seattle and sitting next to Rowan's family, and both of us looked at each other when there was that shot of the closet being filled with bandages and wound dressings. Like, talk about a very private moment that the whole world is seeing, that the family has to experience almost daily. And what's amazing for me is, at least when we showed it at Stanford, and even on Netflix recently, individual young scientists, trainees, PhD students, MD students have reached out to me and said, how can I get involved? How can I stay in research? How can my research, hopefully one day change the lives of rare disease patients like EB? So I think with the challenges in this research environment, the movie has just struck a sense of possibility, hope, and momentum also for research too. And so, there's going to be more and more of us who want to work on this.
And it can be a numbers game. The more people we have doing research into a cure, the more likely it is to become a possibility and a reality. So
absolutely,
that is one impact the film is having, and I'm so appreciative for it.
Thank you.
Now I have a question for Dr. Feinstein. The film captures both the physical and emotional toll of EB. How do you and the EB clinic support patients and families through those challenges?
Thanks for that question. We have a very wonderful multidisciplinary clinic, and it takes a village of very talented, creative, and dedicated individuals to support the care that patients with EB deserve and need. EB affects so many things, and having multiple different specialized clinicians who can be a partner to think through each of the issues and think through it in the context of EB is so important. And that be thinking about how we surgically treat and organize around a blockage in a patient's throat, or how we give vaccines safely in the pediatrician's office, or even thinking about getting a patient or a family involved with a therapist who knows EB or chronic illness and can talk about hopes and fears and everything in between. So it takes a lot of us. And fortunately, we have a lot of wonderful people who want to be part of that team. And I'll build on what Jean was just saying. The film is drawing in people who want to be researchers and kind of add to the momentum there, but it's also bringing in people who want to be supports and advocates. For example, in our hospital, one of the phlebotomists who takes care of a lot of our children with EB said to me, I saw the movie and it moved me. And these are people that throughout the hospital and healthcare system, we also need to be part of that bigger team to make sure that our patients get the care they deserve in the best and safest of ways. So I'll leave it there.
Thank you, Doctor. I'm so happy there's someone like you looking after the community.
Thank you.
Matt, you're welcome. Matt, I have another question for you. The film does such a great job of capturing the concert element while also shining a light on EB and educating viewers about the rare disease and the efforts to cure it. Can you talk about directing Matter of Time and walking that line?
I think the film, we talked a lot about this through the entire process, whether especially with the families involved and Michael and Ed and Jill, Karen and I, it was the word that always came back was balance, and the other word was hope, which we've been using a lot tonight, but it's true is we wanted to make sure that first and foremost, we're honoring the family stories that we were telling, that we had to show, which is probably a 16th of what they go through on a day to day, but it was important for us to educate people about EB without being gratuitous, obviously, because everyone was trusting us and letting us into their lives in these very delicate situations. But at the same time, is just like showing people, like when I met Eli, was this 6-year old that was living with this really challenging situation, but his spirit was not broken. Or you see Charlie, like that guy make me laugh a lot when we were doing Venture into Cures. And Tricia, forgive me, but when we got a bunch of videos from the community, and I saw Tricia recording of trying to get him to do it, and just the one-liners that he was firing out were just hilarious. So I feel like part of the storytelling was to make sure that we made sure that the personalities and the art, like the artistry in Deanna's case, and her tenacity, came through, and her relationship with Hodges, came through, and it was all a balance. It was, people ask us if it was hard. It would kind of, Karen can speak to this as well, but it came together organically, and depending on what you believe in, I find this community and just its way has the stars align. We were, the way people come together this way, and authenticity rings true always. I feel like with this community, if it doesn't, then it just bounces off and it's out. So I don't know if that answers your question, Chris, but I feel like balance was the key. And Ed, in his beautiful way, worked so hard on those shows, and the way he connected everything to the audience and the families and researchers and doctors that were at those shows, and supporters, it just all kind of came together.
It really did, and you blended it so well. Thank you for that.
Thanks.
Karen, now that the film is streaming globally, what has surprised you most about the audience reaction?
It has been so cool, let me say, first of all, to get people send like photos of them watching it in different countries, and I've got friends all over the world, and to see the subtitles in all the different languages and get that, I think we need to do a compilation of that for social so everyone can see that. But that's been just so amazing to see because you really feel the impact that it's having globally and that people are consuming this globally, regardless of language. And I think that's because there's a universality. And so I think what's really surprised me is just how personal, I guess, the reactions have been. And, people have written me and said, like, I've never experienced this disease, but I see my child in that child. Or another very common response I've had note that I've received is, I had no idea. But then 2 seconds later, the follow-up is, but how can I help? And I think that's because we touch this very universal chord. So while this community and this disease is rare and very specific, the emotions I think that we've elicited just through, again, the honesty of the story has been really universal. And I think, it's not surprising, but it's exciting that universality of emotion is really going to be driving impact. And we've already seen that impact firsthand. And I think that's what's so exciting about kind of where this is going to go as people continue to watch it and experience the beauty of these stories.
And I know that representation can be such a gift for people who weren't represented before. So
Mhm.
thank you so much for giving that gift to so many people.
Thank you.
Now, Michael, I have two questions for you. The first one, after seeing years of work distilled into this film, what does hope look like to you now compared to when you first joined EBRP?
Yeah, look, hope is the four-letter word that's at the forefront of all of our minds. I mean, that's been a theme. And to me, what does hope mean? I think hope is a collective belief in something greater to yourself by a determined group of people, right? And hope is only as good as the action that inspires. And as far as hope is concerned, one of the things that makes us most proud is, look at this panel, right, of people and listen to their words, but look at everybody on the Zoom call. And what that means is a team. And this is a team of people that are committed to this community. And what's incredibly important about that, sorry, my daughter's here. What's that? Sorry, hold on. Perfect timing. Hold on a second.
I'll jump in even because he's not listening and he'll be embarrassed if that's okay. Is
All right.
Michael, I'm gonna interrupt you for 2 seconds just because you're walking away. I'll just finish the thought real quick. Is that one thing I should have said when we were talking, and is that on my answer when we were talking about balance and everything. Michael Hund, any organization, any rare disease organization would be very lucky to have him. I don't know if it comes across fully in the film, but having known him for 6 years now, this guy, the Energizer Bunny is like an understatement, but he works so hard for this community and cares so deeply. And I think, Karen and I were saying this the other day, like to make a film of this magnitude, and we're so lucky to have, the success with it and to hear your feedback today. But like Michael and the Vetters, they lead with purpose. They let us tell this film the way we wanted to tell it. And I think that's such a gift. And so I just wanted to give him props while his daughter was interrupting him there. And he has 4 kids and he does all these amazing things. It's a miraculous. So Michael, props to you. And go ahead. Sorry.
No, man. Thank you, Matt. That means a lot. But I mean, look, it is this team, right? And it's always said that a piece of coal becomes a diamond because it just stuck to the job, and this is a group of people that stuck to the job. And it's a special gumbo that we're cooking up over here, right? Of the uniqueness of the team, which gives us hope every day. And that starts with, of course, every single person living with EB and every parent that's in this film, but that's every person living with EB and every parent across the planet. And what we've heard over the last couple of weeks is a lot. But some of those themes are, the courage and the bravery and the resilience. So we have millions of people team that are learning about EB for the first time over the last couple of weeks. And, their takeaway is, I am inspired by the bravery and courage and resiliency that people like the Molinaros, that people like Trish and their families and the Myers and Hodges show every single day. We hear things like, "Oh, I'm complaining about the snow. I'll never do that again. I'm complaining about the subway. I'll never do that again." If they can overcome more in a single day than most people overcome in their lifetimes, I'm going to suck it up. And there's this teaching ability, and you mentioned it, Chris. Selflessness. When you look at the closet that in the Meyer household that Dave talked about, that's a day. That's one day in the life. Matt, you talk about Garrett, you want to tell me about human selflessness. Like you are giving pain and excruciating pain and for something that isn't going to benefit you. And you talked about that with Deanna, Dave, what Dr. Jean and Dr. Jamie do in the clinic every single day, it may not benefit everybody that's participating in that. Show me a better example of human selflessness. I mean, Chris, from John, you sit and you talk to John, and it has a lot to do with his mom, Faye. So shout out to you, Faye. But he'll drop more wisdom in 30 minutes than most people are able to convey in their lifetime. So the learning ability of what we learn from this community, I think, is incredibly important when it comes to the scientists and clinicians. My God, you hear Gene talking about it, but there's more skeptics in science today than ever before, and it makes no sense. The science is what has solved the greatest challenges and opportunities of humanity since the dawn of time. And one of the things that Matt and Karen, maybe you knew of all the things that this film accomplishes, but science is freaking cool, right? Like science is freaking amazing. And, scientists and doctors like Dr. Jean, like Dr. Jamie, like Dr. Anya that's on the phone, like these scientists should be lifted up like sports stars and rock stars and musicians, the work that they do. And I love it in the film, Gene, that you're like, oh, I'm, never the star of the party. Well, you are the freaking star of the party, Gene, and so are you, Dr. Jamie. And that's something we wanted to accomplish with the film. And I had the great humbling honor to sit a couple months ago with Dr. Francis Collins, who was the longtime lead of the NIH, started things like the Human Genome Project, and Dr. Eric Lander that runs MIT Broad. They talked about a couple things that some of which have been mentioned, but number one, the communication to the world about the power of science. And the film does that so beautifully, Matt and Karen. So it's this byline that maybe we didn't expect, right? We got excited about going to the moon. We should be equally excited about curing EB and scaling it into rare diseases. So the power of science and the beauty of science is something that we continue to hear. I do want to talk for a minute about the artist. I mean, you see, Deanna's art and how powerful it is. And Chris, you do this all the time, man. It's a theme. It's why you started with books, right? Expressing yourself, and Rowan's art and Eli's art and Hodges, your art, which is an art of just being the president of every single room that you're in, being the automatic mayor and the positivity and joy that you bring, but having artists into this mix of the team. And I'm going to shout out, I'm going to give it back to you, Matt and Karen. I just want to express, I got to thank Matt every day, but Matt and Karen, the difficulty to do something like this. And you use the word balance, Matt, which you're right on the mark, man. But I'm going to use the word trust. Because the amount of trust that you have to have, and you do this too, Chris, but the amount of trust that you have to have for all these amazing families to let you into their lives, to let you into their homes, to let you into a bandage change, to let you into the clinics. I mean, that comes from a deep, deep, well-earned trust. And all the things that you accomplish with this film don't happen unless you build trust with the family. And then you've got musicians like Eddie Vedder. So, I think hope is starting with awareness. So all the people in the world that are learning about EB for the first time, hope is if you are fighting as hard as Hodges has fought, and Sarah and Jennifer for 46 years, and as hard as Tricia and Miley fight, and as hard as the Meyer family fights, and as hard as Dave and Fran fight, and all the families associated with this, wouldn't you just love a kick-ass team in your corner? So we feel that's our duty, to be that team in the corner. And when you mix that all together, we feel we've built something really unique. And even the philanthropists, the engine is built. You hear Dr. Tang talk about, like, man, we people like Dr. Tang and Dr. Feinstein and Dr. Belisova. I mean, they've spent decades of their work, building this science. And yes, we are at an inflection point, but science is not linear, man. This is trial and error in their labs and with their patients to get to these points that we can now capitalize it. So they can build the engine, but none of it happens without the fuel. And I think that's a beautiful byline of the film. I'm looking on this call and I see people like Dr. Jeff and Jenny Gallagher and the Hisler family and the philanthropists, for them to be able to come and, learn about the science, to meet the researchers directly, to meet the clinicians, to meet patients and families directly, but also, celebrate with some joy. And music has that healing power of bringing people together. And now Matt and Karen have given this gift of a piece of art of a film that will live on for many, many years. So that's my, sort of final thought on hope, Chris, is that hope is this collective belief that we can accomplish something together, but you cannot accomplish it without just an unbelievable team of people. And what an honor to look around at not only this panel and you, Chris, being part of this community, but every single person that's on this call, that's showing up, that's doing the hard work, that's turning that piece of coal into the diamonds, day after day. That's what it takes. And none of us are going anywhere until we finish the job.
And Michael, you referred to the specialness of the gumbo there. And as a man who loves Cajun food, that comment stuck with me. I could have gumbo and jambalaya every day for the rest of my life and be a happy man. But I do want to say that the specialness of the gumbo is very evident from my perspective. And it's very easy for an outsider to see all the hard work and special people that are part of EBRP. And you were talking a lot about hope there. I wanted to ask you, what do you hope viewers take away from the film, and how can they help drive change?
Yeah, I've spoken enough, so I'll have a rare moment of brevity and just in one sentence say, I hope people pick up the torch and take action. Whatever your time allows, whatever your talent allows, whatever your skill allows. This is a big old tent, or I'll go back to it, Chris. This is a big old bowl of gumbo, and we welcome anybody that can contribute their talents and their energy toward this cause. So what do we hope people take away? Get involved, join the team, take action.
Thank you, Michael. We've talked a lot tonight about the extraordinary scientific progress underway, but as we all know, the greatest barrier to curing a rare disease like EB isn't innovation, it's funding. The breakthroughs are within reach. What determines how fast we get there is the support behind them. One person who has been instrumental in helping us accelerate that momentum is Dr. Jeff Heddles. Jeff, I believe you're on the line. You've been such a steadfast champion on this mission. Could you share what inspires your commitment to this work and give some insight into how our audience can rally behind your cause?
Oh man, this entire community is just absolutely nothing but inspiration. I didn't know anybody that had EB when I started to get involved. So for me, I knew about it from an academic level, but then to learn how the EBRP was going to curate my donation dollars, and they were just laser focused on research and cures, and that really just spoke to me because like I want to get in there and help fix something. Um, I didn't want to go back to school and get my PhD and research. So, Dr. Tang, that's all you. I figured I'll do the next best thing and support those who are doing all that hard work. So,
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeff. And Jeff, I know there's a very exciting announcement that you're going to match every single dollar up to $1 million for the EBRP.
that's right.
Thank you so much for your generous donation, your generous match.
Thank you.
Nice, Jeff.
It's just unbelievable what you're doing for the EB community, and we're so appreciative. Everybody is. Thank you, Jeff.
Absolutely, Chris. Because we see this phrase all the time, right? Where time is money. But I think everybody that's on this phone call really realizes that it's actually money is time. And so whatever we can do to increase the speed of this research, and it's so exciting and hopeful, the things that are in the hopper right now and the things that are coming, it's unbelievable. So with this momentum of matter of time and this whole community, you know, the time is right now to go big. So we're going to get out there and rally the troops, and we're going to tackle this problem.
Thank you so much, Jeff. And I'd like to share just a little story about why your contribution is so meaningful to me personally. And I might get emotional here, but I'll fight through it. When I first met John Hudson, I think it was 8 or 9 years ago, and I remember going into his house, but he used to live right across the street from a school. And as I was walking into his house, there were children playing in the playground across from him. And then I went into his house and I saw him, John Hudson, who's diagnosed with EB. And I saw him with all his cuts, all his wounds, all of his pain. And I heard about what he has to go through every day. And I thought about the contrast of the pain he experiences, and then hearing the children outside play, and how it's just not fair that he has to experience that, why most children his age are running around in the schoolyard and playing tag. So, Jeff, I want you to know that it means so much to me that there's people like you out there who are willing to give so much to this community so that children in the future won't have to experience the same pain as John Hudson and many other children out there today. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in real quick, Chris, too. I have the privilege of calling Dr. J, as we call him, a friend. And every once in a while, you're lucky to get somebody that is willing to contribute that sort of philanthropy to get the job done. But what is incredibly rare air is when you get somebody that spends every ounce of their being to commit to a community. Jeff has literally traveled the planet. He's gone into the clinics. He's met with the families. He's met with the doctors. I mean, this is in his being. This good gentleman even has the butterfly, tattooed on his arm. That's how committed he is. But there could not be a better human being and a better person. And for the organization, we have never had an opportunity like this. And talking to Dr. Jeff, he's like, look, man, this feels like the moment, with people around the world learning about EB for the first time. What can I do to make that fuel accelerant and make it go even faster? So it's in every ounce of his being, one of the greatest human beings that you'll ever meet, of what he's done for this cause and this mission and this organization. He's understood it inside and out and every angle. So we're just very grateful, Dr. J. We're just very lucky and very blessed. So thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Dr. J. And now we're going to proceed to some audience questions. This first question is for everyone who's part of the panel. What are the main challenges that get in the way of spreading awareness for EB? And before we open it up to the panel, I'd like to just shortly contribute my answer there. Being somebody who publishes stories on YouTube, many times I've posted a story from somebody who has EB, and the algorithm has censored it because of their cuts or their wounds. So the algorithm can be one of the main challenges. I want to tell a person's story honestly and authentically and give them a chance to share their reality. But sometimes doing that alone can be censored by the algorithm. Does anyone else have an answer to that question?
I think you summed it up pretty good. Yeah, especially on TikTok. TikTok is brutal. Like you can't post anything on there without getting a advisory, or I've gotten suspended like so many times from the algorithm just trying to, like, Rare Disease Day is coming up and I want to um showcase me doing my wound care because that's something that the EB community really, we love to see how we do our wound care, because even though we're doing it kind of the same, we all have our different little tweaks and everything. And I'm like, okay, what platform can I go on that won't censor me, or I can get away with maybe 20 minutes before they start flagging me or something like that. So yeah, the algorithm is definitely one of the hardest things to overcome, at least on the social media aspect.
Would anyone else like to answer that question? The main challenges of spreading awareness for EB?
You know what? It's like we've told a lot of stories and over the past, 6 years, and with Venture into Cures, a great example of that. I think I'm going to go the opposite. I guess it's not, again, this community is so amazing in that telling the stories of people living with EB is like telling stories about who they are. And then I think inherently people learn about EB. Um, and I think that's something we learned over time a little bit, and so we've been very gifted in that sense just because everyone's so incredible. So if we're focusing on Deanna's art versus, the pain mostly, but you would learn about EB through it. And we've been really lucky as well to have some amazing ambassadors over the years help tell those stories, which I think is a blessing, because a lot of organizations or, especially in the rare disease community would love a platform, which you do so well, Chris, is bringing that to light, that we've been lucky to have some celebrity ambassadors. Um, I don't know, Karen, do you feel like there are any challenges that we faced telling stories about EB?
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Matt. I don't think we look at it through that lens.
Yeah.
I think it's a very different lens. I think the challenge is not, yeah, it's not telling the stories. It's more like what you were saying before, Chris. It's just fighting the algorithms and just making sure that those stories,
Get
like we
seen.
can tell them, but yeah, we just want them to be seen. And like
Yeah.
Matt said, having those ambassadors, having those people who amplify it, having every single person who watches it on Netflix then tell 10 friends or two friends to then watch it, that's the support that we need. So yeah, I don't think the challenge is in the making of, it's in the dissemination of content because there's just so much clutter out there. There's so much noise. And how do you cut through it to make
That's
sure
right.
that
Yeah.
people are listening to this story because it's such an important one for to be heard.
Well, you did a
Which again,
wonderful
you've done
job.
brilliantly, Chris. You've done that.
Thank you. I was going to say
Yes.
that you two did a wonderful job cutting through all the noise with Matter of Time.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Now I
I'll
have a
just step in
question.
on sort of a practical note there. As I try to explain EB to people that I'm talking to that are unfamiliar with it, you can use a lot of AI tools to generate cartoon versions of things that are not going to be made invisible by those platforms. And then you can include a link or a QR code to the more explicit images. For me, those are appendix slides in my slide deck, but a lot of investors don't want to see these wounds in the first time that they're seeing the company. So really just trying to recognize, we have these limitations. We can be creative with some of these tools that accelerate our storytelling and then make it so that the people who are really interested can find the content, but you're not going to be stymied by the platform itself, just trying to get it out there.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. That's definitely something to consider. I appreciate your input there. Now I have a question for Michael and Jean. In studying gene therapy and finding a cure for EB, it's been said that this may help find a cure for other rare diseases. How much of EBRP's work could be scalable in this way?
It's absolutely scalable because many rare genetic diseases are caused by one mutation. So if we fix the collagen 7 mutation for dystrophic EB, we fix the laminin mutation for junctional EB, that will amplify all the research efforts for other diseases where it's a single gene change. So that's for rare disease. And any progress we make with the FDA will just create this cookbook or a blueprint of hopefully success for other genetic medicines. I often get the question of, well, what about not rare disease? What about cancer? What about, other diseases? Well, the challenge is most of cancers are not caused by a single DNA mutation. But what I will say is that if there is a gene that you can edit and amplify or shut down to reduce cancer growth, that is a real potential one day. And all the work that we're doing in EB can help that effort.
Yeah, and look, there's nothing I can ever say better than Dr. Jean Tang, but I would only point to, what we talked about at the top of this call, which is, what would the MDs and PhDs say that are doing the science? And, 2025, every project that we funded, when we asked that question, Chris, is this scalable into additional disease areas? That was a 100% unanimous yes. And it's because of people like Dr. Tang and Dr. Feinstein and Dr. Bilasova on the foot that they've thought about that. And the truth is the funding environment is harder than it's ever been. And that's government grants, which all the academics on this line can tell you, but that's also foundations like us. And it has been an important use case of join us to focus on EB today, but know that there's promise in the future of the scalability of the science that we fund.
Thank you, Michael. I have a question for you, Hodges. In the film, you mentioned that Deanna was your secretary. Where did you work together? And is that work still happening?
Oh, yes. Deanna was my second. Yes, she was. For my nonprofit EB Lifestyle Inc. She was really instrumental in like keeping me organized, giving me ideals on fundraising, and things of that nature. She can never really be replaced. When she passed, that was it was a blow to all of us. But yeah, her memory always lives on with us. We are continuing the work that we had started. March 26th will be EB Lifestyle's 5-year anniversary, and that time we've donated. I think we're on our 27th one. We're working on one for Rare Disease Day, so look out for that. But her legacy and her memory is going to live on forever, thanks to Matter of Time, and just by people like me and everybody else just keeping her memory alive. But yeah, she was absolutely a part of the EB Life team, which just shows how she could really multitask between Deborah Canada and then helping me. And um yeah, she's gonna be missed. I really miss her. I miss my friend. But yeah, her memory lives on, definitely.
Thank you for sharing that, Hodges. Michael, some viewers have asked about how the film defines a cure in the context of EB research, and how does the film reflect the diversity of EB subtypes?
Yeah, well, to take the last question first, I mean, it was really important to us that we showed the diversity of what EB is. And, that's why we picked families that represent different subtypes and different ages, because, um, certainly, Hodges and the Molinaros and Trish can tell you, EB may be a category of a type of rare disease, but it's different for every single person that lives with EB. And so that was really important to show all the sort of faces and embodiment of EB along the journey with EB. And again, credit to Matt and Karen for balancing that so artfully. When it comes to a cure, we believe in big, bold, audacious goals. Martin Luther King didn't just say, I've got this thing that I'm working on that I'm going to do someday. We didn't say hey, we want to go to the moon at some point in the distant future. I mean, big, bold, audacious ideas and goals and timeframes and milestones and measurables and deliverables. That is what drives causes forward. So the pursuit of a cure for us is critically important to vocalize it, to put a goal, to put a time frame on that. And we always say, look, we can't make any guarantees about when a cure is going to happen, but we can guarantee by being audacious in that goal and that timeline that will motivate every stakeholder involved. So that motivates the research and scientific community, that motivates the philanthropic community, that motivates patients and families. And we feel an accountability, right, for all those people that support us in every way that they support us to deliver, to put a time frame on it. I would love to be out of a job when it comes to EB. We'd love to wrap it up and move on to the next rare disease, but that takes an audacious vision, and honestly, courage and bravery to put your neck out there and say, this is what we want, and we're uncompromising and wanting to achieve that. So, a lot of that was showcased in the film. But the belief in the reality is because of people like Dr. Jamie Feinstein and because of people like Dr. Jean Tang and because of people like Dr. Anya Bilasova. And again, you just look at the stats. When I joined EBRP 8 years ago, there was nothing that was defined as curative and definitive. And you look at those 29 projects from last year that we funded, that half of them were defined as definitive and curative. I mean, that is something that we never thought, even a few years ago, that we'd be able to achieve. So investing in that science, we don't know where a cure will come from, but the strategy is to give as many shots on goal to invest in those scientists that have an idea, that have a project, that have a research project, and to see that through as far as it will go. And we're hopeful, that we will achieve that. But it takes all of us, again, to go back to the team, which is my theme for the night. It takes all of us. It takes every single person that's on this call, in the way that they can join and support this community and this team, and together we will achieve it.
Thank you, Michael. I often present to school districts about how teachers can create environments in the classroom where all students can meet their full potential. And one of the key elements I hope to teach and say often in that presentation is all results in life stem from belief. You have to believe in your students. You have to believe that they're capable of progress. And I love that somebody who believes that there's a potential cure for EB is at the head of EBRP. So thank you for having that belief. All results in life stem from it. You'll hear me say it a million times if you ever listen to me talk. I have a question for Matt and Karen. And this is a reminder, these are from audience members. Will there be more showings of part 2 of Matter in Time? This person saw it twice in Austin and said, keep up the good work, Matt and Karen.
That's very kind of them. Part 2. Yeah, when we cure it. I think, like Michael was just saying, it's to be part of this team, and it does take a village, to use that saying, to get these things done. So in our way, we want to just keep doing whatever we can to help support the community and to help accelerate treatments and cures. And Gene joked about this. I've said this joke, forgive me, a lot of times. It's a dad joke, but Gene was like, "Oh, what you guys are doing is so amazing, and the way you cut the video and everything is like." We're like, no, we're splicing video. You splice genes. It's a little different, but it's what we can do. So we're doing our best with what we can to help raise awareness, and I think that's what we would continue to do. But yeah, let's do part 2 in short order, please. Then that talks about like Michael said, like putting Michael out of a job and letting him move on to the next one.
I feel the same way, Matt, that it's a good thing to spread awareness. That's what you're doing. That's what I'm doing. But I really admire the intelligent doctors on this call who are doing the research in the genetics. And I'm so happy they exist and are doing that work in the world. We appreciate it so much.
Yeah.
And just to add to that, I'll say, there is so much incredible momentum right now. And for everyone who is anxious or interested to keep following it, we don't need to make another movie for you to do that. They're like, look, keep following online, check out the website. And, Matt and I, we're not walking away from this community anytime soon, and we're continuing to document all of the exciting advancements. We're, still in touch, and we're still creating content that's going to support this mission until, as Matt said, we can somehow retire Michael. But really, that's we're not shying away from telling more content, because it's in us now, and we're part of this community, and it's not something that we're just going to say, okay, that film's done, and we're done. And that was just the first chapter in terms of the content that's going to be out there.
Thank you, Matt and Karen. So happy that you two are champions of the community. I have a question for Dr. Jamie. Can you please touch on the difference of the different subtypes of EB?
Yeah, so this is actually one of those examples of where Matter of Time is so helpful to educate the community and the global community. There's a segment in Matter of Time that is animated that Dr. Tang narrates, and it goes through exactly this question, probably better than I can ever do with words, but I'll try. But it's a proof of why the video is so important to be able to see with your eyes. So there are 4 main types of EB that Michael had on that first slide at the beginning of the talk today. And EB simplex, junctional EB, dystrophic EB, and Kindler syndrome. And each are caused by different genetic changes that affect where the skin layers separate, the depth of kind of where that blister forms. And that affects how EB shows up clinically for patients. And as Hodges was just saying, and as Michael was just saying, it can be really variable within a subtype, across subtypes. It's very individual. Generally, the deeper the level of kind of the blistering or the skin separation, the greater the risk of scarring and longer term complications, other organ system involvement, things like that. But I do really want to emphasize that regardless of the subtype, EB profoundly impacts all patients' lives, period. And that is so important to understand. This is something that we have to do for anyone with EB. So the only other thing I want to say is during my career, I've been in this for more than 15 years now. And one of the most amazing advances that I've seen is that we have been able to increase the access to genetic testing from a place where we had really minimal testing when I was first meeting EB patients and families. And now we have easy access to testing. We have genetic counselors who staff our EB clinics and can really help understand what this means for a family. And it's so important. The other thing that I will say to tie into the work that Gene and others do is that the genetic testing now really increasingly is going to be able to help guide our selection of existing therapies and the emerging therapies and the personalized therapies that are going to be coming down the pipeline for hopefully all subtypes of EB. So I'll stop there, and thanks for the question.
Yeah, thank you, Doc, for clarifying. Dave and Fran, one viewer of Matter of Time, wrote in to say, I am in awe of Deanna's talent and the way that she was able to express herself through her art. Is there a way to see more of her artwork or perhaps purchase prints?
Thank you, first of all. Yeah, we're actually sitting in Deanna's studio right now, where she. I don't know if I can show you some of it, but I'll give you a little pan view if you can see it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Some of the stuff that we still have, and as Michael and Matt know, this is the quieter version of the T-shirt she made for the concerts, which is the Cure EB and the more the other adjective that she chose with the other one, which stopped Jill straight in her tracks in the hotel lobby, which was wonderful. And we were selling the T-shirts and
yeah, we would like to eventually. I know I found a list of her what she wanted to do, and one of it was to have a gallery to show her art. I do have proper pictures of all her art, that she had done. So I'm going to try and get prints made and hopefully do a gallery showing, maybe even do it online.
Please keep us updated. I would love to see that myself. And I must say, the other version of the shirt was my favorite, although I love that one too.
We'll get you one. We'll get you one, Chris. No
Please, I will wear it constantly.
This is also one that she wrote and illustrated a book for young girls as a project while she was studying. But she had to print a bunch of them. But Michael had a chance to see it, and Matt. So maybe one day we'll be able to get that published as well, and funds can go for research.
Do you mind reading the title of the book for those of us who couldn't see it?
Kayla's Closet. It's about how a little black dress gets passed around from generation to generation.
Oh, thank you. I would love to read that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dave and Fran.
You're welcome.
No problem.
This next question is for Michael and Jamie. This person wrote, I'm in Denver. What volunteer efforts can I participate in?
You go first, Doc. This is your hood.
Well, there are lots of opportunities, and I think globally, worldwide, kind of not just Denver, to get involved. And Michael can share a little bit about EBRP's efforts and how to get in touch. But I will say that I just got invited to a Denver plunge this year. So this is going to be the first year that we are having a plunge in Denver. Annie McKenzie is going to be hosting that plunge, and I would invite you to come and join us. It sounds like we'll have a great event. But beyond that, I will say that from personal experience, the best way is to just get creative and do something that's meaningful to you because it's going to inspire others. And it doesn't need to be donations, it doesn't need to be money, but something that raises awareness, a watch party, lemonade stands, a bike ride, you name it. We will kind of gladly embrace and support you.
Yeah, and I would just give a shout out, Chris, to Jamie and Anya and the whole team at University of Colorado and Colorado Children's. And look, Stanford is this way as well, but you've got one of the best children's hospitals in the world sitting right next to one of the most innovative research facilities in the world. I mean, they can literally walk back and forth, and sometimes proximity leads to innovation. So, the I almost said caller, but commenter, that commenter, find the team, go see firsthand what they're up to. The multidisciplinary clinic that Jamie and his team has built is incredibly innovative and gives families a chance to come on a day or series of days and see the 30 plus healthcare specialists that they may need in a comfortable environment. Without having to schedule those appointments individually and just be supported by world-class experts. There's camps in Colorado. Jamie mentioned Rowan is, I think, coming home today, Jamie, right? Of her
Yep, exactly.
camp, which Jason and Kate, the reporters, they haven't heard a lot, but that's a really good thing, right? Because she's independent and she's at the camp and she's having fun. So there's a group of camps that I'm sure Jamie and the team could make you guys aware of. There's a bike ride that happens in Colorado. And yeah, thank you, Jenny Gallagher. You never miss a beat. She was on it as you were saying it, Jamie. But yeah, there is a plunge on 425, and you heard straight from the source. It's 70 degrees and in the Denver area today. So it sounds like you get off the hook with an April plunge. It won't be too cold, Doc.
We'll figure out a way to make it a little cold. Denver never disappoints with the changes in the weather. So
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Michael.
yeah.
Now somebody wrote in a question for Tricia. Tricia, how did you decide what parts of your story you were comfortable sharing?
It really wasn't a decision. I'm basically comfortable sharing everything about our life, everything. We're an open book. And if our story and our life can motivate other people to get going and to do these fundraisers and create change, I'm happy to do it. Very happy to do it. We've been doing it for about 15 years. It started with Charlie and one email to a news station in our community, and we saw how that just blew up in the state of Wisconsin. And so we do understand that these stories make a huge difference. And so, yeah, bring it on. We'll share anything.
Thank you, Trish.
Sure.
Michael, what are the most promising research approaches currently being pursued to cure or meaningfully treat EB?
Oh, well, here's a good turn of that question. I have an MBA behind my name. I do not have an MD PhD like the brilliant MD PhDs on the line. So I would gladly pass that one over to Dr. Jamie and Dr. Jean.
Dr. Jamie, Dr. Jean, I'll repeat that question for you too. What are the most promising research approaches currently being pursued to cure or meaningfully treat EB?
So I'm going to lean. I don't have a PhD after my name, but maybe Dr. Jean or Anya actually could comment on this because they work at the molecular level and can tell you what those promising targets are.
Anya, if you're on the line, that would be amazing. The incredible Dr. Jean Tang had to jump a bit early to get back to, all of her amazing work.
Okay, yeah, it's actually a tough question in terms of the targets. I really feel like there are many things we can still do on EB, and like for example, what we do is mostly like targeting stem cells and try to do genetic correction in our stem cells, but I don't think that could be a final solution. I still feel like gene therapy, more like topical delivery, gene therapy approaches would be the next step. We still need to kind of do everything stepwise, just thinking about Vijuvac, Zivaski, and I would say it's all the like stepwise approaches toward really reaching the cure. Even what we do, I don't think it's really the final cure. I just feel like we create a foundation to show that everything we do is safe. So we can do a more like higher breakthroughs, like I really believe gene therapy and potentially in vivo delivery of these gene therapies that can promote like a permanent correction of the mutations, whether it's for RDB or other types of EB. I think that's what will be the cure at the end. But we still need to kind of take a stepwise process to make sure that we don't harm the patient, but at the same time, we can really make a difference and eventually develop that cure we're all striving to get.
Thank you, Anya, and thank you for dedicating so much of your life to finding a cure for EB. I know that I appreciate it, and everyone here does too. Look at all those clapping emojis and heart emojis, Anya. You
Thank
can't
you
ignore
so
that.
much. Thank you. We're trying to do the best. Unfortunately, it's sometimes slower than we would like it to be, but that's part of science. We really take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and that's how we advance eventually.
Thank you so much. This next question, it's open-ended for everybody, so feel free to chime in. As a person who is not able to help financially, but who cares deeply about this matter, can you please let me know how I can be of any help?
Spread awareness. Just share the movie, spread awareness, get involved. I think that's the main thing. Just find a way to get involved. Reach out to EBRP, and there's room for everybody, I would say. So it doesn't have to be financial. Your time is the major currency anyways, right? Because that's what we're all trying to get more of, time. So any time that you can dedicate towards the mission, towards the cause, that's, invaluable.
Well said.
And we live in a world that is ran by algorithms now. And fortunately, sometimes unfortunately, a like, a share can make a huge difference. So sharing Matter of Time, getting on the EB Research Partnership social medias and liking and commenting, that boosts it and sends it out to so many new people. So just by doing that, liking, commenting, sharing, there's a reason YouTubers always say it, because it's effective. So that's something free that you can do to be part of the cure for EB.
It's great.
Well, thank you so much, everybody who submitted questions. And Michael, I didn't know if we had time to answer questions from the audience. What do you think?
Yeah, you're the boss, Chris. I think if there's a couple audience questions, let's go for it. As long as that's all right with our esteemed panel.
Absolutely. We have time for a few questions, so feel free to send them in now if you have any. It's been a complete honor being part of this panel. One of my highlights of each year is going to see John Hudson and his family, Faye, and his siblings, and it just means so much to me to be part of this community. So I'm appreciative that Michael, your team reached out and allowed me to moderate. I'm so happy to be here today.
Well, as people are thinking of questions, remember, Nick demonstrated that you can raise your hand. It's a friendly group. You can just go off mute and speak up. But before we do that, if you guys can just join me in thanking Chris, because, you're an absolute icon and hero in our community, Chris, and you got a lot of things going on. I don't even know how you accomplish what you accomplish. So with a clap or an emoji, or we know Chris is loving those heart emojis. Let's show him some love. Just thank
Thank
him.
you so much, Chris. This was great.
It's my honor. Thank you for having me, everyone.
Thanks, Chris.
Great.
Feel free to chime in if you have a question. You can unmute yourself and speak. And if not, we'll wrap it up in a minute.
I'll jump in as the hand raising expert. My first question was actually going to be about the prints of Deanna's art. My family asked for that as soon as we finished watching Matter of Time. I would love to have that hanging and sort of be a guiding star while I do my work. But something that was a little unclear for a matter of time for me is I don't know how much interaction these patient communities have with each other when you're not having an Eddie Vedder concert to bring them together. Was this a window into how you guys support each other always, or was this sort of a unique opportunity to come together?
Well, we have special events that we go to. We have an event coming up in July that we're going to go to, and the summit is a good representation of what it's like. Unfortunately, the EB community, we're all scattered everywhere. So it's really at these events that's hosted by these organizations and these fundraisers and these galas and all these things is we really take the time out to plan yearly for these, because that's really the only time that we are able to like come together as a group and really socialize and just catch up with each other. And you know social media is great. We have, the Facebook lounges and all that, and but there's nothing like getting that one-on-one connection. So really, the summit was an excellent representation of what that's like. And unfortunately, we only realistically get to do that maybe 3 to 4 times out the year if we're lucky.
I will add that in our multidisciplinary clinic, one of the things that we have been doing for a number of years, we had to pause over COVID, but have restarted again, is reserving a space for families who are coming to clinic to have, we buy lunch for the families and let the kids kind of just have an hour and a half before clinic to be with each other and talk and catch up and meet. And it has been something that the families told us they want to continue for as long as we can support it, because it is such a great experience to have that in-person time with each other.
I have a question I'd like to ask the panel. When you have a person who's diagnosed with EB, how can their extended family and their community, their neighbors, the people who live on their street, be supportive of both the person who's diagnosed with EB and their siblings and their parents? How can they be emotionally supportive?
I think I can answer some of that. Our community has been incredible with supporting our family. But what really helps a lot is when people offer to, just come spend time with Miley, play games, you know, make a meal, learn about EB so much that they can maybe sit with Miley so the parents can go do something else. Um, that has been very helpful for our family anyway.
Thank you, Trish. Last opportunity. Are there any questions from the audience members? Thank you so much, everybody, for attending. And I want to thank each member of the panel. It's so inspiring to know there's so many brilliant, intelligent minds as part of the EB community searching for a cure. And it's been an honor to be here and be part of this with you tonight.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Chris.
Chris.
Everyone.
Thank
To
you
the
so
panel.
much, Chris.
Thank
This was
you.
great.
Been really
Thank you,
nice.
Chris.
Thanks very much, Chris.
Nice to see everyone's faces.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Lucy wanted to say hi too.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. J. And
Thanks,
thank you,
Jeff.
Lucy.
All right.
See you for part 2.
Okay.
All right. Good night,
Dr.
everyone.
J, if I was to show you
Thanks.
my dog, she would be barking, so I will spare you that.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, that was great, man. Thank you, everybody. And yeah, it's interesting that that question came through. Matt and I have talked about it, but a lot of people are like, "Yeah, what's next?" Like Trish and Dave and Hodges and everybody's like, "Oh, where's the we want more? Like, what's Miley up to? What's Hodges doing now? We want to, they want to turn it into a docu-series." But that's been really heartwarming, and obviously speaks to all of you guys. But Matt, more shout outs to you, man. I mean, people are wanting more. They want to know more. They want all the updates. So it's been really beautiful. So
Yeah, it's a gift. Thanks, all.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
By the
It was
way,
great seeing everyone.
quite an honor to be able to share a panel with bona fide movie stars. It's pretty awesome.
You're a star, Dr. J, too, man. And you're in the film as well, don't forget. So, you're right on there.
Oh, I am. Like, you just focus in the out of focus stuff and the B-roll. I'm there. I'm there.
That can be our fundraiser. We'll AI faces into the audience. Do you want to be for part, just
That's
put
right.
people in the film? Yeah.
That's
We
part
could
two.
do we could do a
Yeah.
fundraiser like a Where's Waldo if you can find me,
Yeah. That's perfect.
Actually, that's the condition of the match. Jeff's like,
Find Jeff.
only they can, it
Where's
is
Dr. J?
that's been fun too, man. Of all the people that were there and community members of those little people, like I saw myself, or I saw the lady, or I saw this person. It's been fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Jenny says the credits, and yeah, Jenny is in there, and you are also
Yeah.
in that. Jenny and Jeff as well.
Oh,
And-
I have to say too, Dave and Fran, Jenny really wants one of those shirts, the real shirts.
yeah.
She's a size medium. I was saying that I was gonna reach out, and I just been so busy I haven't been able to reach out. So I'm saying it now since I think Jenny is still on, but yeah, she definitely wants the FEB shirt. I have
The
it.
F is for
I have the
fund,
shirt. I
right?
have the shirt and the hoodie. That's just how much I like it. So, but yeah, she definitely wants a shirt. Size medium, I believe. Right, Jenny? Size medium.
I'm just taking orders.
Yeah, it's popular.
Well, clearly
I
none
guess
of
I
you
can
guys
get
can-
off mute now, but yes, thank you. Definitely want one in time for the plunge, if possible.
Oh yeah.
Well, thank you guys. I got some hungry mouths. One of them popped in the middle of the Zoom, as you saw. They are good. They are fed, but they are all now extra hungry. So I got to jump. But thank you guys so much. Really, really appreciate it. And yeah, Chris, thank you, man. You're part of this team too, and you really brought it all together. So thank you to each of you.
Thank you to all of you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
Love
you.
you guys.
Everyone.
Have a good evening.
Yep.
You
Bye
too.
bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Good night.
Take care.